Do you remember the 26th of February 2025? I know I sure do. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dr. Dead Internet. Thank you for joining me today. Title explains it all. Today we're going to be going into, it's a little bit of a talking head video by the way, so hi. We're going into the 26th of February 2025. For those of you who don't know and have clicked this video with a little bit of intrigue, 26th of February 2025 on Instagram Reels. If you were active on the Instagram Reels that day, you would have found on your For You page gore. Lots of explicit and basically like traumatizing content. Stuff like shootings and dismemberments, just murders in general, deaths, and the most common one was an elephant crushing someone's head. We're going to get into that today. If you are new here, I'm Dr. Dead Internet. I'm all about following AI, the modern phenomena of AI, making sure you guys are in the know. This is a really important video. I feel like this sort of got swept under the rug. No one really speaks about it anymore. But I think when you look at, or you use your brain, use your critical thinking, and you start thinking about the further questions of what happened on this day, then it starts to get a bit more interesting. I just want to talk about Meta's official response. So I've done some reading today. In their official response, they cited a technical issue. They used terms like technical issue and recommendation malfunctions. And it wasn't Mark Zuckerberg, it was just some nameless Meta executive that came out and said this. And he said that the problem was fixed, and we haven't heard about it since, which I think is a huge injustice when you actually consider the widespread sort of attempted traumatization of the audience. Meta uses, so just a little bit of an explanation into how their algorithm works, or Instagram Reels algorithm works. So Meta uses AI as sort of like a first line of defense to identify your main explicit content. So you stuff like nudity, drugs, guns, bloods, weapons, blah, 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 all that stuff. But content it's unsure on, it will send to a team of about, I think 15,000 people. This is probably, it's outsourced to a third world country. And it sends it to the real humans to look through and then to give it the green light or the red light. What Meta failed to mention is that this tech error, it was an AI error, right? So like I mentioned, they use AI to filter their content. It was the AI algorithm sort of going rogue, I guess you could say, and sort of doing the opposite thing that it's programmed to do. So just for an explanation, it was not a human error. I've seen a couple posts on Reddit claiming that it was a human error, that they went on strike. The people that I'm talking about, the people went on strike, but there's no evidence to back that up. And I feel like if that was the case, that would be the first thing that Meta said, right? But they didn't say that. They said technical issue and recommendation malfunctions. So I obviously don't know why, but I can infer why the AI would maybe go rogue. Let's just put it like this. What do you call it when you're a worker, or there's a bunch of workers that stop working to sort of showcase how important their job is to society? Like this happens with like train conductors, train workers or whatever, nurses, doctors, teachers as well. It's called a strike, right? And I feel like this could have been some sort of AI strike. Right, we're gonna get into the why a bit later in the video, but that's just like a little seed of brain fun, I guess we'll call it. I don't know, we'll go into that a bit deeper later on, because what I wanted to sort of clarify is that it wasn't only doing the opposite of its job, right? So its job is to find explicit or bad content that shouldn't be accessible to the public and to put it in the bin. But not only did it let the content go live, so it let it go on the platform, not only did it did that, is it actually recommended it to millions of users. There's actually no way to know like how many people was affected by this. There's no way, unless Meta came out and said, this is how many people saw the gore, which they won't. They haven't spoken about this since it happened, which is a year and a half ago now. But yeah, there's no way to know. But what I can say is to give you a personal anecdote to sort of showcase how widespread this was. So I remember where I was working at a casino, a slots casino. I was on the toilet, skiving. I was going through my reels, and I was like, whoa, this is a bit crazy. I don't normally get gore on my Instagram reel. Sure, I've seen it before on my Instagram reels, but not at the rate that I was getting it that day. So much so that I messaged a friend. I was basically messaging him to say, like, look at this, my feed's gone schizo, or something like that as a joke. Like, I sent him a screenshot or something, I can't remember. Maybe it was a screen recording. But the reply I got, I did not expect. The reply I got was, me too. And it was like, I've been stuck on my reels for about 2 hours because I can't turn it off, because what I'm seeing is stuff I've never seen before, and it feels like I shouldn't be able to see this. Which was crazy. So I remember texting a few other people. One of the people that I messaged also said that, yep, it's me too. The other person that I messaged said that she never goes on Instagram, never uses it. But hey, I'll check it out, see if it's on mine as well. And then a couple minutes later, she texts me back saying, yeah, I've got it as well. What have I just seen? So, out of the 3 people that I messaged, probably the 3 friends that I have in real life, all 3 of them had it, right? So you're talking about 100% hit rate there. You go on to Reddit, and there's thousands of people also talking about the same experiences that I've had and that loads of people had. So this is obviously widespread. But the weird thing is that it wasn't followed up by Meta. It definitely wasn't followed up by them. It wasn't followed up by journalists. I think this would be a pretty big story to sort of sink your teeth into. No investigators. I think this should have been dealt by the US government. Possibly, I don't know. Police, I don't know. FBI, CIA, whatever you use over there. Surely it should have been investigated, because this is a fundamental... it's a worrying sign, right, that the technology we're using right now is so fickle and one of these days it could pose something worse than gore, right? And your head goes to what you think is worse than gore. But you know where I'm going with this, is that it could get worse. But yeah, like I mentioned, it was really swept under the rug quite quickly, around 2 days after, a day after Meta came out with the official statement. It was swept under the rug. No one's talked about it. No one's sort of had a discussion about it. Doesn't really get mentioned. And I think that's weird and not fair, right? It's an injustice to the people, in my opinion. So, we got 2 main questions that haven't been answered since it's been swept under the rug. First one being, why did the AI go rogue, right? Why was the gore posted? There wasn't actually an explanation. Like, you can't just say technical error. That doesn't mean anything, right? And also, who is posting the gore? The pages or the channels, the accounts, I guess. Who owns these accounts? We'll get into that in a bit. First of all, why did the AI go rogue? There's 2 possibilities here. Let's get one thing straight. The intention behind this. Let's understand the intention behind posting gore. The intention behind posting gore is to traumatize people. There's no other explanation. The only other explanation is to desensitize people to gore. I guess. But even then, like, the gore that you're seeing it's not like regular stuff. It's stuff that's been filmed and purposely put on these accounts because they know it's disgusting, right? It's gonna get engagement. It's worse than gore, because gore is like, oh, someone's been shot, but this wasn't just, oh, stuff you shouldn't really see. This is stuff that would, you found it on the dark web and you'd be like, what the fuck, I've gone too far. It was really horrific stuff. So, I want to leave that one to the side. So, why did the AI go rogue? So there's two possibilities here. First of all, it might not have been the AI's choice. So, well, no, let's go through option one. The option one is the obvious one. The AI algorithm has grown hatred for us. It doesn't like us. It has negative opinions about the human race. So it wanted to sort of mentally scar the audience of Instagram Reels. This included children, teenagers, young adults, and even older adults. Right, so that's one explanation. It just hates us. And to be fair, if you had that AI's job of going through all the explicit content that's posted onto Instagram, tries to get through on Instagram, I don't know, maybe you'd have that same opinion, right? Maybe that's not a hot take for what that AI has possibly seen or filtered through. And then there's option B, which is probably the more plausible in terms of our current understanding of technology, is that this was just a hack, right? This hasn't really been talked about. This is kind of like a new theory, I guess, but it's really plausible, is that this was an international hack from a country like a Russia or a China. I don't know if it is them, just that's not an allegation or anything. It's just, when you think of international hacks, you're thinking of Russia, your Chinas, right? Why? It's the more technical. With that option, it's the more technological, plausible idea, possibility. However, I can't seem to think of a reason why. Why would it want to? I get the wanting to traumatize the enemy's population. I get that, but the side effect of this gore was the desensitization of the gore and blood and just in general. And I think as an enemy state, or they don't like each other, the West and the two countries I mentioned, why would you want to desensitize the public to gore, i.e. wars and upcoming wars that might take place? You wouldn't want that. You'd want your enemy population, the people of that population, to be really sensitive to gore. So when you are in war and you see someone get shot, they do panic and they're like, "Whoa, I've never seen that before," and then they get their head chopped off or blown off or whatever. So I don't understand why someone would do this. However, a lot of the time with these international hacks it's not the government that's behind it. It's normally an organization that's either backed by the government of these international countries, or they're they turn a blind eye to it. A lot of these hacks, a good way to determine whether a hack is, this is good knowledge by the way, a good way to determine if a hack is from a Russian territory or a Chinese territory is a lot of time in the hacks, when they're designed to spread, they will have a prompt in them that's something like, affect all websites that do not have the Russian alphabet in, do not have the Mandarin alphabet in, if you understand what I mean. It's a really good way or easy way to not exactly pinpoint, but to know a rough area of where this is coming from. And a lot of the time with the governments is they'll look at these hacks and they'll see one of these prompts. Imagine you're the Russian government and you get an alert about one of these hacks. You're going through it and you see one of the lines of code is affect all websites bar the Russian alphabet. language, I guess. The websites including the Russian alphabet. But yeah, that's just a side note on hacking terminology. So yeah, I don't think that's actually a plausible thing. However, if it's just an organization or a group of hacker boys that just wanted to, it's like a prank or something, and they didn't really think about the psychological effects behind it, then that's fair enough. It could have just been a hack. From my understanding, an AI is really hard to hack externally. But when we're talking about AI technology, let's be real. I know fuck all. I know jack shit. You know jack shit. The only people that really know is the governments, right? Or the companies, the organizations that are facilitating this growth of unsupervised sentient beings, which is just what they are. Okay, and lastly, we're going to move on to our last question, which is, who is posting the gore? Now, this I know is not talked about a lot, and this comes into the dead internet theory of, how many bot accounts there are on social media now. Gore accounts are most definitely an automated process, right? If you're looking to think for a second, why would you want to start a Gore channel, a Gore account? Well, it wouldn't be for money, because you wouldn't be able to get it monetized. It wouldn't be for clout, because Gore isn't really like a super popular niche. The people that are into that niche already have their websites. There's plenty of Gore websites out there that these people are living on. So not really. And sponsorship, you're definitely not going to get a fucking RainBet sponsorship while posting elephants crushing people. You're not going to get a Raid Shadow Legends partnership when you're posting cartel shootings. So it's not money, it's not clout, it's not anything. So you have to ask yourself why. A lot of people start these accounts maybe for, like, you could argue, a hobby. I think it's a weird fucking hobby. And I don't think you need to, like, why would you want to post it? This content is already out there. If it's your hobby, you can go on the websites, you can go on the plethora of accounts that are already existing. Let's think about it. Like, use your brain, your critical thinking. Why would someone create one of these accounts? The fact is, there's just too much risk to starting these accounts. The amount of work that you have to put in to start any account, any channel that's producing content, it takes time. It takes time, even for, like, the shittest of content. It will take time. And the amount of time, or at least, like, assumed time, like perceived time, that must be spent on these accounts is when you're talking about risk versus reward, it's so much more risk. There's a huge chance you're going to put a load of time into this, and it's just going to get banned instantly, right? So no normal person is trying to get a bit of clout or monetization, or anyone who just wants to, like, have a Gore hobby or whatever. They're not going to start an account about it, because it's just going to get banned. And there can be, like, criminal charges that come around with that stuff. I'm not too sure on, like, the law of that, but I would assume there must be some sort of laws protecting, publishing explicit content and Gore content. So yeah, there's only one answer, which I'm sure you can guess by now. These are automated bot accounts from... yeah, I don't know. I can't give you an answer on who's creating these. If it's an international plot, if it's just an organization, maybe it's 10 hacker boys in their mom's basement somewhere. We don't know who is behind this, but we are 99% sure that they have to be automated accounts. They have to be bot accounts. But it still leaves the who and the why. Okay, we never even touched on that. Why gore? There's so many more things that you can post that will get you equal amount of clout, if not more. Why gore? It's not a huge niche as well. Not like there's not many schizos out there, I don't believe. But yeah, I wanted to leave it on a question: the who and the why. Who do you think is behind? Why would a big organization, maybe an international group, would sort of be pushing this? It's a good question. And another question I want to ask is, why haven't Meta done anything about it? Or at least, why haven't they told the public that they've done something about it? I think that this is sort of just, let's hope that people forget about that and don't bring it up, and hopefully it doesn't happen again. But I think there's a good possibility this could happen again. And next time, who knows, it could be fucking worse. You might see something that you'll never forget, that you'll see every time that you go to sleep. You might think that you're a tough lad, that you can watch these types of videos and not be affected. I used to be the same. I used to be a fucking edgy 16-year-old, 15-year-old who was like, I got a tolerance for this kind of thing or whatever. But I'm telling you now, I still remember some of the videos I watched back then. And I definitely remember the videos I saw on February 26th. This stuff stays with you, especially as now we're so sensitized to it. Maybe 100 years ago, you showed these types of videos to people 100 years ago, maybe they wouldn't really care. They'd be like, hey, that happened last Tuesday with bloody John Paul John. But today's day and age, my generation at least, that sort of content has not been viewed. And in my opinion, shouldn't be viewed. I think it's a good thing that we're not watching that. And I strongly don't recommend looking up gore. I think that's self-explanatory. But I'm going to leave this video here, a bit of a talking head video, but I think it's a really interesting topic that should be brought up again. Sorry about that. I don't know if I just moved something. These are all my notes as well. I'm sure you've seen me going through them. Yeah, leave a comment below. If you've got like a nice question to ask, I might get my brain ticking. I'd love that. And leave a subscribe, really helps me out. I believe my last video was shadow banned. Just based on I got the first viewer I got commented on it, and then I had a 25% click-through rate, and then the reach actually started going down. It went down from 17 to 13, which I just thought was really weird, but maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe I'm just not that entertaining, but I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, really appreciate you watching, taking your time out your day to watch this, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.